Sign up today for a 7-day free trial at alerts.chartguys.com. Hey everyone, checking in on the cryptocurrency space. Gotta talk as fast as I can because every time I upload a video and it processes, we get significant action and then my video means nothing. I just recorded a video before this dump, most recent dump took place, and threw it out the window. That's now on the cutting room floor, but here we are. So, we'll do it again. Bitcoin, daily uptrend is still intact. That is where the bulls are showing up to play defense. 10,761 is that level, and our low just now was 10,933. So technically the daily uptrend is still intact, but the odds that we're going to see this weekly tightening range now have increased. We've looked at the two scenarios, continuation or weekly tightening range, and today really moves the needle back towards really favoring this weekly consolidation. So high, let's look at it on the weekly. High, low, lower high, and we're going to scout a higher low and tightening range compared to 9,651. I would expect to stay in this tightening range, holding 9,651 for at least a week or two. And that's, of course, counting on things slowing down in the cryptocurrency space. The bulls haven't proven enough to us to make us believe that that is how it's going to play out. But essentially, once we see a 4-hour trend change back to the bulls, if that happens sometime tonight, sometime tomorrow, then again, that's pretty much just pumping the brakes to slow things down. And we could see volatility really shrink for the rest of July if we can set a temporary bottom here. That being said, there's also a scenario where if we hold the daily uptrend, and highlighted this in a recent video, where we could bounce, fail to break 13,200, set a daily lower high, then lose the daily uptrend to see this weekly time frame continue to tighten. So that's a scenario we're watching as well. But as of right now, the bulls are just doing everything they can to try and keep this daily uptrend alive by holding 10,761. So the last time we checked in, I was scaling in to play bounces, and I'm going to go a bit over my strategy and give an example of how I do things, because right now I am in a more conservative mindset than I was in 2017. 2017, I was as aggressive as you could possibly be, and I was compounding my profit. Every single trade, I was trading with more capital. That's not what I'm doing anymore. I'm conservative. My goal is to just not give back any of the profit that was gained from 2017. So I am going to be doing things a lot differently. I'm not compounding my gains. I'm being more conservative, and essentially goal number one in 2017 was to make profit and be aggressive. Goal number one in 2019, don't give my profit back. That's essentially what I'm trying to do. So my mistakes are going to be leaving money on the table as opposed to losing any significant capital. So the way that I'm trading this pullback, and the last time we checked in, I was beginning to scale in into the mid to low 12,000s and scaling out on a bounce. So again, the scale in, scale out strategy is so important to keeping me in control of these trades. And it's the kind of scenario where, let's just give an example. Let's say I'm trading 3 Bitcoin and I scale in 12,300, 12,200, 12,100. That gives me an average of 12,200. The bounce that I was looking at was taking place, and we ended up seeing a few percent bounce from 12,000, and we got up to 12,400. So if my average is 12,200, I can sell for a 1% move or a little over a 1% move, and that would have me exiting in the 12,300s. Let's say 12,350. So that then exits and lowers my break-even price. If my break-even price initially was 12,200, if I sell for a $150 move, half of my position, my break-even is now $12,050. So that keeps me comfortable, and it also keeps me with cash. I now have cash to look to reload when we get another leg down. So that's me protecting against bear flags, weak bounces that see no follow through, and then another leg down. So I set orders in the $11,000 range. And I was doing this not really actively at the computer. This is very active trading style, but because I have so much experience from 2017, 2018 in the crypto space, I was going out to dinner, I was placing orders. So I went out to dinner and I had sell orders for 12,500s, and I had buy orders for 11,800, 11,700, and on down. So the sell orders did not fill. My buy orders filled. I came back from dinner, and my average at that point, let's say I got filled at 11,008, 7, and 6. So that now puts my average on the new position at 11,700 combined with my $12,050. Now my average and break even is about 850, or about 12,900 or so, 12,850. So that then allows me 11,850. That then allows me to, again, scale out. There's a multiple percent bounce. This ended up being about a 5% plus bounce. So I scale out half of my position in small profit, 1 to 2% gain, lowering my cost basis to break even. Or I should say lowering what my break even price is. Then we do it again. I went to bed. And as I went to bed, I had sell orders in the mid 12,000s and buy orders under 11,500. So my average at that point is about 11,700 break even or so. And we drop down, my orders get filled, 11,400, 300, 200, and I do have other orders scaled in. These are just the ones that get filled before the bounce gets started. And once that happens and we start to bounce, I pull those orders because the short-term RSI levels cool off, and if I'm going to enter on another leg down, I want to drop those orders lower. So I filled last night at 11,432 while I was sleeping, so that gives me 11,300 average on my new position. I had 11,700. That now gives me about 11,500 average. The bounce this morning, we get all the way up to 11,800. That's multiple percent higher than my break even. So if I scale out at a 1 to 2% gain, I just continually drop my break even price. I continually put orders lower, and I look to lower my cost basis. Again, I'm not making any significant gains here because the small gains that I'm locking in are offset by the further drop. So I've yet to make profit on any of these trades, but what I have is a solid position, which is just about break even right now at 11,300. Unfortunately, my order just missed getting filled in the 10,900 and 800 range, and I pulled those orders now. Why did I pull those orders? Because I had those orders placed because of the 5, 15-minute, and hourly RSI, and now that this bounce has taken place, those RSI levels change. So my 10,900 bid, I'm going to pull it, and maybe my next bid will be 10,700. So if we lose the daily uptrend, it's going to affect how I do this trading style. This trading style is designed for the daily uptrend. So if we lose the daily uptrend, I may just end up exiting break even or just below break even and saying, okay, the overall bigger picture environment has changed. So I'm going to change my game plan. But as of right now, we still have the daily uptrend. This bounce is pretty solid at this point. Again, another 3%, 4% bounce at this point. I'm sitting just about break even. I've got plenty of cash. I haven't exceeded 60% of my portfolio in Bitcoin on any of these dumps. So I've always had more cash sitting by. And at this point, I am going to just patiently wait for the real bounce to take place. And what I mean by the real bounce is any kind of follow through, or specifically, I want to see the hourly exponential moving averages cross. So I am patiently waiting. I am very comfortable, again, with plenty of cash to be waiting for lower lows, or sitting at about break even right now. So I'm not really worried about this position. If we drop under 10,900, I'll scale into the mid $10,000 range and lower my break even price to about 11,000 or so. And again, it's just continuing to play that game until the actual real bounce with follow through plays out. So that's the style of how I'm approaching this. And I cannot stress enough how scaling in and out with stocks and cryptocurrency has significantly changed everything for me as far as being confident and in control of trades. So, Bitcoin. We're going to bounce here. We're going to look at the hourly exponential resistances. Anything under 11,800 is just an hourly lower high. I need an hourly trend change. I need these exponential moving averages as support, and I need them to cross bullish. Give me those three things, and I'm going to say, all right, the real bounce is underway, and then I'm going to set my profit targets, and that's when the trade's going to be worthwhile for me. That's when I'm going to lock in a day maker or a multiple day maker if it plays out that way, and that's when it's worthwhile, because until that happens, break even, obviously that's not really what we're going for, but I will happily exit break even if I have to, if the bigger picture changes. Ethereum is still weak, dropping to lower lows. The fact that Ethereum and Litecoin have broken their weekly lows increases the odds that Bitcoin is going to break the daily uptrend and head back down to its weekly low of 9,600. So those are two little clues that could potentially increase the odds that Bitcoin is going to form that tightening weekly range. And there was another one. What was the other little clue? Binance. Binance is now in consolidation mode on the monthly. It's been the lead crypto bull for all 2019. It ran 900+%, and now it's pulling back. We lost the weekly uptrend for the first time in forever. That's a notable event, and we're going to watch how is that going to impact the cryptocurrency space as a whole as well. We may be entering consolidation mode for the next month or two. We have to be cautious and prepare for that. So Ethereum breaking all support, dropping to lower lows. Same thing on these bounces. They're weak. We have the hourly exponential resistance continually rejecting the price. We did just hold 261.57, so that's notable as well. But we have to see a bull break of 276 for that to mean anything. So again, I have no interest in Ethereum and Litecoin as long as their Bitcoin pairing charts are in daily downtrends, but there's more risk to reward if you're trading these names. Litecoin has seen 10% bounces on some of these dumps, where Bitcoin obviously hasn't come close to that. I'm not looking for higher risk to reward. Like I said, I'm not being aggressive. If I was being aggressive, I'd be playing Litecoin on these bounces, but I don't want that volatility. I'm perfectly fine with the volatility we're seeing in Bitcoin right now. So the ETH BTC chart is a daily inside bar, but again, I'm watching the trend and the daily downtrend. As long as we can't break 2707, it's just a daily lower high, and we're not going to change this trend anytime soon. So my interest in Ethereum or Litecoin is going to be limited until we change this daily trend, and then I will perk up and pay a lot of attention. So Litecoin, the bear break of this daily equilibrium gave so much follow through. At this point, from that signal, we dropped 17%. Again, the bounces here on Litecoin, certainly more significant. Here was one 95 to 103. That's about a 9% bounce. We just had 97 to 106 essentially. So that's another 9% bounce. And here we have 99 up to 104, a 5% bounce. So the percentage moves are more significant, and you can also see we're holding higher lows. So there is a little bit of a shift on Litecoin holding up a bit better, but again, you look at LTC, BTC, I was shocked that we're still in a daily inside bar even after holding up this much better. So we're in a scenario where Litecoin and Ethereum are gaining some small amounts of ground compared to Bitcoin, but it's not in a bullish scenario. It's the kind of thing where we're just pulling back less. So anything under 10,988 is just a lower high on the daily time frame for LTC BTC. And again, as long as we're in these daily lower highs, I am not interested in any kind of swing positions or anything on these names until that changes. XRP, big red flag, huge bear drop, loss of the weekly uptrend. We are now at the lowest price that we've seen since back in May. We've given back 2 months of bullish action. And if Bitcoin were to have given back 2 months of bullish action, we would be down in the $7,000 range right now. So it is extremely weak. I don't even need to look at XRP BTC to know that, but we will just for clarity. A clear leg down, the weekly time frame. This is the lowest price that we've seen in a very long time. XRP is very bearish comparative to everything else. So just saying it like it is. And that's been the case. We've seen that clearly for weeks at this point. And now we're looking at this base of support. There is going to be a potential play because this support is so clear. 285, 282. It's just multiple holds of this level, and we're approaching it. So if the daily RSI is oversold, which it's on the verge of, if we head to this level within the next day or two, there is potential for an oversold bounce there because of the historical prices. But again, that's pretty much the only thing the bulls have going for them. Otherwise, we could drop to multiple year lows if those levels break. So those are must hold, but again, red flag for the bulls. Binance with a clear leg down. The weekly uptrend has now been lost. If you've been watching these videos the last 2 weeks, we've started to see the signs that things were slowing, momentum was shifting, and monthly consolidation may be underway. That's now the case. If we look at the monthly time frame, bearish reversal candlestick. After 6 months of 900% gains, we know we have to consolidate at some point, and actually more like 700, 800% gains, but you get the idea. But monthly consolidation is underway. We're going to look for a monthly high or low, but at this point, we're in a daily downtrend, which we have been in for quite some time. Anything under 34.29 is just a daily lower high, and the weekly chart is now in consolidation mode. The question is, can the bulls hold the weekly exponential support as they have done in the past? Things are a bit different this time around, so I'll be curious to see if they can pull that off. But as long as we're in a daily downtrend, I would personally, if I were looking for a Binance entry, I would be patiently waiting for a daily trend change and hope that that was our monthly high or low. LINK-USD, slow fade, daily inside bar, so it's not really seeing all this volatility and dump action that Bitcoin is seeing. Still healthy weekly consolidation where we are looking for a higher low to form, but there's no sign that it's formed yet. Clear 4-hour downtrend with exponential resistance. So at this point, I would be watching for a change in the 4-hour trend to be the first indication that the weekly higher low is going to form. So you can be aggressive or conservative by what time frames you're using. If I'm looking for a weekly high or low, the more conservative approach is waiting for a daily trend change. If I want to be aggressive, I'm using the 4-hour trend change. Just like I said on Binance, if I'm looking for a monthly high or low, a weekly trend change back to the bulls will tell me it's formed. That's conservative. If I want to be aggressive, a daily trend change for Binance is a potential early signal with higher risk and higher reward that we have potentially formed our monthly high or low. So the time frame that you are acting on can be a part of your strategy of whether you're aggressive or conservative. So again, for me, being more conservative in this space right now, I am just being patient and using the more conservative time frames. So I need to see an hourly trend change on Binance, or I should say on Bitcoin. And again, I'm not going to be buying into any strength at this point. All of my entries are into weakness, and when we actually get some strength, that's not when I'm buying. That's when I'm looking to scale out of my positions and put myself in a position. Ideally, I want to walk away from this. My ideal scenario, daily uptrend is maintained, so we have to change this hourly trend over the next few hours. I scale out some of my position in the upper 11,000 range, and I put my break-even stop loss under the current low. And in order to have to do that, I would probably need to exit half of my position in the 11,700s or so. So I would have to see some follow through on this bounce, but that's my goal. And that's my game plan for this trade. Get myself in a risk-free scenario to try and find this daily high or low, and then try and ride a bit more follow through. And we'll see if that ends up playing out. But again, I'm always anticipating another leg down. The last thing I'm going to do is get caught by surprise. So if we get another leg down, again, I'm just going to do the same strategy that I detailed in terms of scaling out. I sold 2 positions in the 11,800s this morning, and now I'm going to be looking to reload those same positions in the perhaps the 10,700, 10,800 range if we do see another leg down. And actually, because this dropped down to 10,900, that would make me lower my bids. Like I said, I pulled my 10,900 bid, and I would probably replace it at maybe 10,765 as my next potential scaling. So we need 15-minute trend changes as signal number 1. We have 15-minute exponential resistances. Congrats to the bears. You deserve it after being beat up in a big way over the last 2 weeks. But the 4-hour lower highs are currently, or the hourly lower highs are the better entries with hourly exponential as a potential guide. So if I'm a bear, I'm not entering on support breaks because as you can see, those are very quick and don't get a ton of follow through, but I'm entering on those lower highs. And in this example, let's say the bounce gets followed through and we get up to 11,500, 11,600. Maybe I top fish 11,840 resistance and try and make an entry and look to pull back down towards 11,000. But at this point, I do anticipate that there's a good amount of stop losses for bears at 11,800. So that's the most important level as far as resistance goes into tomorrow for Bitcoin, and the most important support for me is the daily high or low in the 10,700s. So that's where we stand. Again, I always have a game plan to establish any likely scenario. What am I going to do if we get bounce follow through? What am I going to do if we get another leg down? The last thing you ever want to be is surprised and not knowing what to do. You want to have steps. If X happens, I will Y. If Z happens, I will W. Hope you're well. Do good things. Got some hornets here at the end. Hornets, I kept an eye on them all day today, and they spent all day relocating their eggs. So hopefully they're moving on. And we'll check back in tomorrow. Do good things. So this morning's task is to evict a nest of yellow jackets in the lawn here that's in the way of our raised beds. This is our tool for turning up the top of the soil and the grass. And it's different than your standard hoe, which is just flat. This has a bit of an undercut. And that makes all the difference in the world in terms of digging in and getting that grip and allowing you to just peel back that layer of soil. So we'll see how it goes here. I just hit the part that has all the eggs in it. So hopefully that's enough motivation. I assume that's the queen there, the biggest one, obviously.
You can see the paper nest that you usually see above ground in a lot of places. But I figure this way is better than just spraying it with a bunch of Raid. Number one, to not put Raid in the soil that we're about to grow in, and number two, to give them a chance to go elsewhere.